the devouring reason your feet can't feel the void forming beneath them. And in Fallon, Nevada in 2023, that void swallowed an entire section of State Route 50 in under 4 seconds. Not a crack, not a sinkhole warning. The road was there. Then it wasn't, and the ground around it still looks completely solid. Nevada sits on top of one of the most geologically unstable surfaces in North America. Beneath the dust and the heat, the ground is riddled with channels, not caves you'd notice, not fault lines that rumble. Invisible pipes, hollow veins carved by water moving underground through soil so soft it practically breathes. And here's what makes your stomach drop. The surface above these pipes looks completely normal, solid. You'd walk across it without a second thought. Geologists have a name for what happens next. They call it suffosion, the slow, silent theft of the earth beneath you, grain by grain, until nothing is left to hold the surface up. This isn't new. Nevada has been eating itself for decades. The Black Rock Desert, the Carson Sink, the playas around Winnemucca, all of them sit on top of ancient lake beds that dried out when the Pleistocene ended 12,000 years ago. Lake Lahontan once covered more than 8,000 square miles of what is now Nevada. When it vanished, it left behind sediment, fine, silty, loosely packed lake-bottom soil sitting under a crust that looks like baked clay. That crust is a lie. Beneath it, water is still moving, not the water you'd see in a river or a spring. Groundwater, slow, invisible, traveling through the sediment along paths carved over thousands of years. And as it moves, it steals. Every molecule of water pushing through that ancient lake bed is carrying fine particles with it, sediment, mineral grains, the literal substance of the ground, and depositing them somewhere else. Somewhere downstream, somewhere underground, somewhere you'll never see, but here's where it gets strange. The collapse isn't random, it follows the water, and the water follows you. Agricultural irrigation across the Great Basin has been pulling groundwater up and pushing it back down in patterns the ancient lakebed was never designed to handle. Every alfalfa field, every ranch well, every diverted creek is feeding water into a system that was barely holding itself together before humans arrived. In 2020, the USGS mapped over 300 subsidence zones across Nevada, areas where the ground is sinking, not dramatically, not all at once. Millimeters per year in some places, feet per decade in others. The desert isn't collapsing because of drought. It's collapsing because it's full of water in exactly the wrong places. Now pay attention, because this is the part they don't put in the press releases. When suffosion begins, it creates a self-reinforcing cycle. Water carves a pipe. The pipe creates a void. The void concentrates water flow. More concentrated flow carves a bigger pipe. And on, faster and faster, until the pipe is large enough that the surface material above it has nothing to rest on. And then, in a fraction of a second, the roof of that void fails. What you see from above looks like the earth simply stopped existing. What actually happened is that the desert ate itself from the inside out, in complete silence over years, and then showed you the result all at once. In Eureka County in 2021, a rancher found a collapse feature 40 feet across and 18 feet deep in a field that had looked perfectly flat the day before. No warning, no rumble. The land right next to the hole still looks completely solid, still looks safe. And the USGS survey that followed found 6 additional void structures within a quarter mile of that collapse, all of them intact. All of them waiting. The technical term is a sinkhole precursor cluster. The plain language version is this. The desert around that 40-foot hole is a minefield, and the mines are invisible, and they're already armed. The Great Basin covers over 200,000 square miles. Nevada alone has mapped over 300 active subsidence zones, but geologists believe the actual number is closer to 4,000. The mapping technology, ground-penetrating radar, LIDAR surveys, INSAR satellite imaging, is still catching up to the scale of the problem. Highways, pipelines, irrigation infrastructure, and in some cases entire small communities are built on ground that is actively hollowing beneath them. The Nevada Department of Transportation now quietly monitors 47 highway segments with embedded sensors looking for sudden elevation changes. 47 segments, most of them in the Central Basin. If you've driven US 50, America's loneliest highway, you've driven over at least 3 of them. The sensors are looking for drops greater than 2 centimeters. At that point, the road section gets flagged. Not closed, flagged. So here's what nobody has answered yet. Lake Lahontan's basin is still technically a closed hydrological system. The water that enters the valley mostly stays in the valley, which means everything suffosion has carved out underground, every grain of sediment stolen from the desert floor, is being deposited somewhere else within that same basin. It's accumulating. Right now, somewhere beneath Nevada, there is a growing underground deposit of displaced Earth, and nobody knows exactly where, or what happens when it gets too heavy to hold.